There have continued to report health issues, and now after blistering criticism from Republicans, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will visit the town tomorrow. Our political editor Craig Patrick is tracking the progress in the investigation and the cleanup. Craig?
Well, in terms of the health impact, we know so far that the toxins from the derailment have killed 3,500 fish in nearby waters. At the same time, health officials from the state and federal government say the municipal water supply in the area is safe to drink. The air is safe to breathe, though people are reporting a combination of dizziness, fatigue, cold-type symptoms, etc., which they've not tied directly to the toxins from the derailment, but that is still a point of investigation. At the same time, we have this new EPA order, and that clarifies specifically what the train company is now responsible for doing and for paying for.
The train operator, Norfolk Southern, said it would voluntarily clean up the mess in East Palestine. And by taking control of the site, the EPA is telling Norfolk Southern it's not voluntary, that you will clean it up and do it on the EPA's terms, and share all information relating to the cleanup with the public.
We're not going to leave this community to manage this aftermath alone.
The company's now under a binding order and will face steep fines if it does not comply. So far, they've dug a trench around the derailment site, removed more than 1 million gallons of contaminated water and 15,000 pounds of dirt. Meanwhile, the derailment and the environmental crisis are driving a debate over rail safety requirements and whether fines for violations should be increased. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg ordered new track inspections along the lines that carry hazardous materials and called for steeper fines than the current maximum fine of more than $225,000. He is taking heat from Republicans for not yet visiting the derailment site, though he announced he'll be there on Thursday, and for a response they say was too slow.
When I go, the focus is going to be on action. Look, I was mayor of my hometown for 8 years. We dealt with a lot of disasters, natural and human.
And that prompted more criticism from Florida's Republican Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, and a tit for tat on Twitter. Rubio and Buttigieg sparred over the rail union deal and Rubio's call for reforming track inspections. Buttigieg said Rubio's proposals would reduce visual track inspections, while Rubio said his plan would call for more inspections, and a preview of the contentious debates yet to come.
And that may sound confusing, but that's a very important point because it sets up this debate you're going to hear a lot about in Washington over whether you should have more automated inspections or manual human inspections. With automated inspections, you're talking about putting lasers and cameras on the train cars as they go by. They can measure automatically. Computers check for anomalies along the way, which some, like Senator Rubio, contend would be safer and more reliable and can cover more ground than can individual inspectors. You have Buttigieg, who is saying, yes, but you also need those human inspectors as well, who can see track in ways perhaps computers cannot. At this point, you have 400 inspectors across the nation responsible for covering 140,000 miles of track. So there is a very steep challenge here and something that we're going to be hearing much, much more about in the coming days and weeks.
So, Craig, has the NTSB confirmed what caused the derailment or whether an issue with the track was a factor?
Well, it has not been confirmed at this point. The investigation is still underway, but the preliminary investigation indicates that it was not an issue with the track, which has been much of the focus of the discussion and the debate so far, but rather one of the cars itself, that there was a problem with the axle, that the wheel bearing became overheated and ultimately caused that screeching sound that witnesses heard and caused the train to ultimately derail.
All right, Craig Patrick, thank you.